Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome all. Hello. Thanks for joining us this morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're dialing in from for our first Remake community call of the year. As you are dialing in and getting settled, I'd love if you drop in the chat where you're dialing in from so we can say hello this morning. It's so good to see you all. I hope everyone had a great holiday, great start to the new year. Hello from Istanbul. Hello from Zimbabwe, from Lisbon. Oh my gosh, our wonderful global community here. Hi from Boston, the UK. Happy New Year, all. Hi, Yuda, calling in from London, Orlando, New York. It's always so good to see you all. I hope your holidays were restful and you've started off the new year on the right good foot. We're really excited to be with you all today and to chat about what the year has in store for us. It's going to be a good one. I wonder if you set any New Year's resolutions this year. If you're hoping to read more in 2024, this is a reminder that our Remake Book Club is underway. And Allison will be sharing some more information on how to get involved in that later on in the call, but don't miss it. It's a great read. And we're looking forward to a lot of fun and fantastic programming throughout this year together of remaking the fashion industry and building a more just and equitable world alongside each one of you. As we move through our call today, where we're going to be talking about what 2024 has in store, please let us know in the chat, what are your goals for this movement in 2024? Personal goals, community goals, work goals. We would love to hear from you as well. We're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a lot to cover today. I'm going to first bring up one of my colleagues, Alexa. I'm pulling Alexa up on the screen right now. And Alexa's here to share with us a little bit about the Nike wage theft campaign that Remake has been working on. If you were with us this fall, you'll be a little bit familiar with this case already. We spoke about it on a previous community call, and we wanted to just start by recapping what's going on with this case and why Remake is working on it. So Alexa, if you could please share with the community.
Yeah, thank you, Emily, and Happy New Year to everyone. We're so excited to keep the momentum going on our campaigns with you all this year, one of which is the Nike wage theft campaign, which I'll pop into the chat. And so to recap, this campaign, also known as the Just Pay It or Nike Steals campaign, is built upon an ongoing 3-year effort by various organizations who have been engaging Nike to pay more than 4,000 Thai and Cambodian garment workers an estimated 2.2 million in legally owed wages and benefits as a result of 2 separate factory closures during the pandemic. So in Cambodia, over 1,200 garment workers unexpectedly lost their jobs when a factory producing Nike products called Violet Apparel was shut down unexpectedly by its parent manufacturer, Ramatex Group. And in Thailand, factory Hong Sen Knitting temporarily closed and forced over 3,300 workers to sign a form stating that they would voluntarily give up their furlough pay during this period. Though the Thai government itself later ruled that these forms did not justify non-payment of these legally owed wages. And over 3 years later, Nike still refuses to pay up for what is owed to workers in both these cases, despite having products made in these factories at the time, and despite the total amount equaling less than 0.01% of its revenue. So we've taken to the Nike Woman Instagram account as well as LinkedIn to keep these cases alive and point out the company's hypocrisy when it comes to marketing around women's empowerment. Not to mention 58 human rights organizations have also called on Nike to take responsibility here. And so now, later this week, and just in time for Nike's 60th anniversary on the 25th, we'll be launching a petition in collaboration with ECO and the Worker Rights Consortium, calling on Nike to finally pay what is owed to its workers. And we would greatly appreciate the help of our Remake community again in taking a moment to sign. And we plan to use this petition to re-engage Nike both publicly and behind the scenes in conversations with them as well. So we know that public pressure works and grabs the attention of fashion brands who are increasingly concerned with public image. So in activating our collective change-making power, we hope that we can finally get them to take some real accountability.
Thank you, Alexa. And we know that Nike is hearing from us, right? When we were campaigning this fall, we know that Nike investors, Nike board members, this caught their attention. So as we're launching this petition, can you talk a little bit about, whose attention we're hoping to grab with this petition this time around?
Yep. So in the past, we had targeted one of their board members. Um, it was, I believe, Thasunda Brown Duckett. And so now going forward, we're going to target their CEO, mostly because we want to indicate the discrepancy between what garment workers are actually making, and how much these people at the top are making in comparison. We know that Nike ultimately is making billions of dollars in profits. So the more that we can pull and emphasize the contrast in um, this dollar amount discrepancy, the more we can get attention on how much garment workers are really suffering in comparison.
Thank you so much. I'm going to drop the petition in the chat once more. The first action you can all take today is signing this petition and sharing it widely. That would be incredible. Feel free to drop us an emoji if you're planning to take part. If anybody has any questions on this campaign, we'd be happy to answer them for you. I think Alexa did a really good job summing up what's going on here. It's one of those things where we have to let them know that they can't just continue to get away with this, right? Like, this is the message of pay up. Thank you all for who are sending your hearts, who are taking action. It's really incredible. Thank you. Thank you for signing. Thank you for supporting Casey. That's incredible. Thank you so much. All right, well, hearing no questions, we are going to keep working on this petition. Of course, watch the Remake Ambassador Slack throughout this week, because we'll be giving you ways you can continue to stay up to date on this campaign and what actions we're taking. But we appreciate you starting off your year in this way and helping us call attention to this case. I'm going to now turn it over to Aisha, who is here to share with you a little bit about what's ahead for Remake in the year 2024. Aisha, take it away.
Hi, everyone, and happy New Year. I can't believe it's January 8th already. Here internally at Remake, we've been saying, can we hang on to the holiday glow and can we just catch our breath as we walk into this year? And I hope many of you had healthy, happy holidays. I wanted to start really with we've been looking at our impact over 2023, and it is phenomenal. We processed 501 ambassador applications last year. Let that number sit for a second, because it's the largest number of ambassador applications to date. And it's all thanks to you. We moved to a model where our community organizers, our people on college campuses, in your communities, in your regions, in your zip codes, you all by word of mouth are sharing more about Remake, and that's how we are growing. And it's just phenomenal. We also mobilized really quickly last year when it came to keeping women safe, assuring that wage theft campaigns were won, and launching our emergency relief for Bangladeshi workers at the end of the year, as many of them were imprisoned for their right to protest simply for asking for minimum wages. So I wanted to start really with anchoring us on what a phenomenal year, and really you are the superstars of what we've been able to accomplish and what keeps me going every day. What's really exciting about 2024 is that Remake turns 10 this year. It's hard to believe that we will be sitting on an entire decade of progress. And so as we walk into this year, I've been doing a lot of reading on what the industry outlook looks like for 2024. And one of the reports that's always published that tends to survey the top 50 fashion CEOs is the Business of Fashion McKinsey 2024 survey. And one of the things the report stated was that a lot of fashion executives and CEOs are noting fragile consumer confidence and walking in with a lot of uncertainty. You all will remember that in 2023, a lot of this report talked about cost-cutting measures, and there's a sense that said, we have in many ways exhausted cost cutting measures, but in order for us to continue to push product, they need to really heavily rely on generative AI and use marketing to push product. In looking at some of the industry sentiment, a lot of the words that they use, it's important for us to decode them. When it comes to we need flexible supply chains and cost cutting measures, essentially what that means is we're walking into a year again of sluggish growth. And so often those risks are borne by garment workers, whether it means in terms of a rise of safety concerns, wage theft concerns for the women who make our clothes. And so knowing that we remain in an unpredictable era, a lot of factories have yet, much like the Nike campaign illustrates, not recovered from COVID. All eyes on the prize. One of our first goals this year will remain centering wage theft, centering the safety of workers, because that really is the heartbeat of what we do, making sure the most basic needs of the women who make our clothes are met. And so to share more about our plan for 2024, I'm going to bring back our lovely colleague Alexa, who leads a lot of our advocacy work, to share more about the work we'll have in the pipeline to keep workers safe, as well as to assure that women are paid for the work they've legally done, and how you all can be a part of this. So, Alexa.
Yep, so I've already talked a bit about our first campaign surrounding wage theft, but the second campaign we'll be carrying out throughout 2024 is the Accord campaign, which many of you may be very familiar with by now. But to briefly recap, the International Accord is a legally binding agreement between companies, retailers, and unions that came about in the aftermath of the Rana Plaza collapse in Bangladesh in 2013. It has since extended life-saving workplace safety measures to over 1.8 million garment workers. And this is through independent factory monitoring and workplace safety trainings, among other things. And in 2023, the Accord expanded into Pakistan, where it is so far set to protect an additional 800,000 workers and counting. So with this latest iteration of the International Accord having just been renewed in November, our focus will be to continue pushing more fashion companies to protect their workers by signing the agreement, especially companies with a large supplier presence in Pakistan. So you can sign our Pakistan Accord petition. Here is also the link to our campaigns page. But last year, we introduced you all to the Dirty Dozen, which is 12 brands who have yet to sign on to the Accord program in Pakistan, despite having a large presence there. And we used our collaborative petition with ECO and the Clean Clothes campaign, which now has almost 70,000 signatures, to engage many of these brands behind the scenes. And while so far they're still holding out, it's important to remember that the impact of these initiatives extends well beyond our campaign targets. In 2023, Gap signed on to the Pakistan Accord, as well as Boohoo, Hugo Boss, Mango, and Fast Retailing, which is the parent company of Uniqlo. So brands are taking notice of collective action efforts and actively getting ahead of being the next target. So if you haven't already, feel free to click the link for the Dirty Dozen petition, which I'll drop in the chat. And to sign, and we're planning on reactivating this campaign in February. So be on the lookout for more to come on that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alexa. So just so we are getting our head in the game, January, we will focus, as Alexa noted, on Nike. February, we'll reignite the Accord campaign. But really, as we get ready, I just want you all to collectively celebrate how important the wins have been thus far. The International Accord to date protects 1.8 million workers. This means predominantly women can walk into factories in Bangladesh knowing that so much progress has been made since Rana Plaza. And for all of you who helped us so much with the Pakistan Accord, we currently, just within the first year of the Pakistan Accord, are now protecting 800,000 workers. And that is no mean feat. So it's just phenomenal. And we really look forward to your engagement and support when it comes to keeping workers safe and making sure that she's paid for work done. The second piece of this puzzle, as you all know, because we intuitively understand intersectionality here in the Remake community, is that we have seen an increased number of unprecedented climate events. We saw the floods in Pakistan, the earthquakes in Turkey, and a recent Cornell study predicted that the fashion industry is set to lose $65 billion in exports by 2030 because of episodic flooding and heat events. And one of the things I've really been thinking about is how little attention and resources are moving towards climate adaptation. There was scant attention to this at the recent COP, and yet we continue to hear from our worker partners that they're bearing the brunt of the climate crisis against a backdrop of shrinking wages and a lack of safety nets to catch them. We saw this in the pandemic, right? Factories closed down, women weren't paid. We saw this with the floods in Pakistan, where the cotton crop was decimated. And again, workers who couldn't get to work were not paid. And we know that this lack of progress fundamentally comes down to a lack of living wages and workers simply not having the right regulatory framework, policy interventions for us to ensure that she is not forgotten in the climate crisis. And so I now wanted to bring up my wonderful colleague, Becca, who's dialing in all the way from Zimbabwe, to share a little more about the increasing role that we're going to be playing in the policy arena to get money as quickly as possible in the hands of garment workers, as well as the work we hope to do around climate adaptation. Becca.
Thank you, Aisha. Happy New Year, everyone. So wonderful to be in community with you all. So just as a refresher, the Fabric Act is a federal bill that Remake has been supporting. It's based on SB 62, the Garment Worker Protection Act, which was passed in California in 2021. And it introduces groundbreaking new workplace protections and manufacturing incentives to try and cement the US as the global leader in responsible apparel production, raising the bar on labor conditions and wages for the 100,000 garment workers that are in the United States. So the bill was reintroduced into Congress last September by Senator Gillibrand, and as a result of the civic engagement and broader work and support of so many of you on this call today, the bill now has 9 co-sponsors in the Senate and 12 co-sponsors in the House, and 325 official endorsers from business, labor, and civil society organizations as of December 14. We at Remake are very excited to continue and grow this momentum with you all in 2024. And so in terms of Fabric Act strategy for the year, we're really looking for more business endorsements, particularly of larger companies and apparel manufacturers in key Republican states such as Alabama, Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. At the moment, all of the co-sponsors are Democrats. And this is a bipartisan bill. These are bipartisan issues. And so we really need this bipartisan support. These states are key either because they can contain a high percentage of the US's apparel production, or because these senators from those states are strategically important for the bill. On the Dem side, we are still looking to secure the endorsement of Pennsylvania Senator Casey, as it's looking like he will take over from Senator Sanders as the chair of the Help Committee, which is the committee in which the Fabric Act sits and will move through. So like SB 62, the Garment Worker Protection Act, which laid the foundation for the Fabric Act, the structure of this bill is unique and important in that it builds in an up-chain accountability mechanism that will actually hold fashion brands and retailers jointly liable for the labor rights violations that occur in their cut and sew manufacturing facilities. Given that garment workers, as Aisha said, are already the most vulnerable people working in the fashion industry, and that they are already on the front lines of the climate crisis, it's crucial that we continue to build support for legislation like this and other mandatory human rights due diligence legislation, such as that coming out of Europe, which puts workers and human rights at the center of the transition to a more just and equitable industry. So a couple of CTAs for Fabric. If you or anyone you know is from one of the key states that I mentioned and would like to join our incredible group of state chapter leads to help garner on-the-ground support, or if you have any general leads in these states, please email me or Emily. We can drop our emails in the chat just now. And then if you are a business that has not yet endorsed the bill, you can do so here. Oh, the chat is not working. There we go. Yeah, we're excited to see where this goes in 2024 and beyond. So in a similar vein, something that Remake is excited about expanding its focus on in 2024 and beyond as well, is the connecting of upstream garment workers with downstream waste management workers, such as those working in secondhand clothing markets around the world. Working more closely with our friends and collaborators at the All Foundation, we will be striving to facilitate the knowledge sharing and co-creation and solidarity building between South Asian and Ghanaian apparel workers affected by the industry's climate impacts. And to Aisha's earlier point, pushing legislation and engaging policymakers, as well as brands, to explore interventions that support workers dealing with climate impacts, again, ultimately building up-chain liability centered around the needs of those most impacted by the climate crisis and fashion's reliance on overproduction at either end of the supply chain. Then I don't know if you want me to move straight into our report, Aisha. Okay, so last but not least for me, we are very, very excited to announce that we will be releasing our next Remake Fashion Accountability Report in February. The report is based on the assessment of 52 of the most profitable fashion companies, and it provides an intersectional analysis of the industry's human rights, environmental, and governance issues, and really drives home the need for binding agreements and more equitable brand purchasing practices and fairer supplier contracts in the industry. We can't wait to get it out into the world, not only because it has been a long and intensive research process, but because we have worked really hard this year to make our report much more digestible, more engaging, and most importantly, more usable, both as a roadmap for companies and industry employees, providing clearer examples of what companies and industry employees can do to move the needle on commercial practices, living wages, overproduction, and both climate mitigation and adaptation, and as an educational and advocacy tool for legislators, shareholders, press, and citizens alike to help create systemic change wherever within the apparel industry they find themselves. Something that I'm really excited for everyone to read this year is a special environmental justice piece within the report, written by an incredible guest writer. It does a wonderful job of explaining and linking so many complex issue areas within the industry: climate change impacts, living wages, worker well-being, overproduction, and this idea of a just transition to a more sustainable fashion industry, ensuring that the rising tide of business model change lifts all boats, all stakeholders, especially the most vulnerable. In the meantime, I'll drop last year's report in the chat, which you can have a read through if you haven't already. Thank you. Back to you, Aisha.
Wonderful. Thank you. I was like, how quickly can Becca talk? Like, I have a lot to say. So you all think, we were resting, but we are off to a roaring start here at Remake. And I know that we are such a global community, but to Becca's point, the Fabric Act, for those of you who are working here with us domestically, we're so grateful for, business endorsements and being a part of the state chapter leads. But for those of you globally, it's really to understand that this kind of up-chain liability and legislation has global implications as well, which is why we sort of watch policy across the board that is making garment workers whole. So, now you have a sense of what's in the pipeline. January will be all about Nike. February will the accountability report, New York Fashion Week, as well as the Accord campaign taking on. And then all through this year, we will, of course, ensure that policy and the climate human rights conversation go hand in hand. So I'm super excited for what's to come. So goal 3 for us, outside of our campaign and policy interventions, is really to continue to engage and invest in all of you as the heartbeat of our community. We are here, as always, to arm you with facts, with education, the community connections, to be the amazing change makers that you are. Interestingly, the same McKinsey study that I was pointing to notes that brands have found, especially as they're continuing in their overproduction, hypergrowth model to push product, that what their customers increasingly want is authenticity and relatability. That brands are increasingly doubling down across the board. Fashion CEOs noted in this survey that they're going to be investing more in influencers and really investing more in quirky and less polished influencers to move product. And I thought that was really interesting because while fashion brands and CEOs have to pay for authentic strategy, we here at Remake, through all of you as this amazing community, have actual influence. And so I wanted to bring up our wonderful Chief Marketing Officer, Katrina, to share our marketing and comm strategy goals for this year. And then back to Emily, who'll be sharing how we'll be investing in all of you in 2024. So Katrina.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to share a few updates with you today. Let's start with the first or most important news. In the next few days, you'll find that the Remake site has undergone a redesign. What's changed? Well, the first thing is the overall aesthetic. And you'll see that on the screen now. And the website is going to look more cohesive to what you see on social media. The second is the overall UX experience or user experience. It'll now be easier than ever to find the resources, events, stories, and campaign information you need. For example, our new Take Action page will provide easy links to our most actionable and pressing items. And the third is a more engaging site. While the ambassador page has been completely redone to suit your needs, the About Us page will also have all the necessary information to give your family, friends, and colleagues a better understanding of our work and ways to get involved. The second awesome update is that you'll see this year we'll be putting out more content and social posts regarding the climate crisis and really how it relates to the clothing industry, in addition to topics regarding overproduction and inequality. This is also a friendly reminder that the Slack channel is always there to share any content ideas that you may have or would like to see us address in the future. And then finally, we've been keeping this one under wraps for the past year. But this year, there is going to be a new documentary released by a major streaming network featuring Aisha and our work that we all power together. We'll make sure to keep you posted once we have more information on premiere dates, etc. But until then, please stay tuned. Back to you, Emily.
Oh my gosh, what an exciting year we have ahead. Thank you to all of our team members for sharing a little bit about what you're all working on this year. I know that it means so much to me to get to see our community connecting with our team and you all learning how you can roll up your sleeves with us and get involved. We are all so much looking forward to the year ahead. And I can't wait to dive into our final goal for 2024 with you all. I'm sure many of you know myself and our community engagement team, Allison, Caroline, not to mention our incredible group of community organizers who steer ambassador engagement here at Remake. I often say that the Remake Ambassador Program is what you make of it. So feel free to drop in the comments what the Ambassador Program means to you. But I believe that it's our role to help you all become the best fashion change makers that you can possibly be by developing and strengthening your skill sets and building up your community connections. So here are just some of the ways that we plan to do that in 2024. We're going to keep building on those deep-rooted grassroots communities we've developed through our community organizer strategy. Shout out again to our 25 incredible community organizers across the globe. And if you are a community organizer or if you have felt inspired by one of our incredible community organizers, please feel free to give a shout out in the comments. We truly could not do this work without all of you. I also wanted to share that we are adding a community organizer, Jemima Elliott, who I know is on the call today, who is a proven campaigner working on college campuses. And Jemima is going to help us build up our student activism work on college campuses, starting with the Nike campaign that we're working on at the top of this year. So that's very exciting. And if you joined us in September in New York, we are excited to share that our annual New York Fashion Week Walk Your Values fashion show is going to be back in February. And this year's show will pair activists like you with our garment worker partners, as well as models who will be walking the runway in pre-loved clothing and flipping the script on what Fashion Week really means in the headlines during fashion's most important week. Ultimately, when we lock arms and build community and we develop our changemaker pipeline, recruiting 500 new remakers this year, that was work that all of you did. And we grow your skills to be fashion activists. Together, we win campaigns and we reform policy, like Alexa and Becca spoke about earlier on the call, really reshaping the fashion industry. Now, we want to hear from all of you. What are your goals for this movement in 2024? We're also here to answer questions as well. I see the chat is popping off. So Aisha, I'm going to turn it over to you while I catch up with the chat here and see what everyone wants to say.
This chat is so fun. I'd rather just keep reading the chat. But I will say that one of my personal goals outside of the 4 big goals that we have laid out for you all as a Remake community is really to be in service with all of you. The thing that galvanizes me most, the thing that keeps me most excited is when I am around you all, and the fact that I was able to do that with Amsterdam, with London. So a personal goal of mine is just spending a lot more time with our community, lifting you all up, because when we lock arms, we win.
Incredible. I'm seeing so many wonderful shout outs to our community organizers, folks who inspire us every day. A shout out to Jemima for the incredible work she's doing on Remake behalf on college campuses. We're excited for our New York Fashion Week event. Heck yes, we can't wait to see you all walking the runway in fabulous vintage pieces. More information on that coming soon. Do watch the Remake Ambassador Slack for information about that as soon as we can share final date, time, location. Shout outs to our community organizers again, more in-person events, building up that community impact. You all are incredible. Folks are writing that they want to get involved in promoting local sustainable fashion events in their area. Yes, Allison from Remake's team is here to help you with that. If you want to be a louder voice in 2024, we are all for that. We want to help you make that happen. So many incredible goals in the chat here today. My goal is to connect with more ambassadors, more like-minded folks. Yeah, just we've got a really cool year ahead. So much happening. It looks very energetic. I'm not hearing any immediate questions right off the bat. However, I know that we have just dropped a lot of exciting information on all of you. So after the community call, after you've spent some time journaling, figuring out what 2024 looks like for you, please feel free to come over to the Remake Ambassador Slack and chat more about about all of us. Let's talk about how we can get you tapped in, how you can get involved, and how we can make your goals for 2024 happen. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over next to my colleague, Allison, who, like I mentioned, is here to support you with any community events and programming that you want to be a part of in 2024. And she's going to share what is ahead for Remake in the month of January.
Hi, everybody. Let me go to the next slide real quick. Ooh, that went to the last one. So sorry. And there we go. Thank you guys all so much for starting your year off with us. It's so amazing to see so many familiar faces, but also so many new ones. I know we have some new ambassadors on the call today, so welcome. Before I share some more ways that you can get involved with us this month, I wanted to give some snaps to our ambassadors of the month who are also on the call today. Sarah Phillips and Taryn Hipwell are Remake's Florida co-community organizers and have really crushed it this year. Florida is one of our newest hubs. It's just started in 2023, so it's about a year old. But Sarah and Taryn have made such a huge impact already. They've hosted 7 events impacting a total of 160 attendees in Florida, created a local network of local businesses and ambassadors who are passionate about our movement, and regularly support virtual programming and other hubs. Sarah even joined Deborah, our Italy community organizer, this past summer to host an event in Italy. So Sarah and Taryn, we appreciate you both so much. Thank you for all the work that you do to help grow our movement. Next up, we have two great virtual programs. On January 16th, we will be joined by the Transformers Foundation to gain insights directly from the supply chain and to explore how your engagement can actively shape a collective approach to climate strategy and fashion. The program will be based on their most recent study, which is towards a collective approach, rethinking fashion's doomed climate strategy. And that report is on their website, and it's also linked in the registration link that's in the hub. Next, on January 24th, our Remake Winter Book Club that Emily mentioned earlier will conclude with a conversation with the author of Young and Restless, The Girls Who Sparked America's Revolutions, Maddie Kahn. Whether you are a part of Remake's book club this time around or not, I know we only have about a week left of it, all are welcome to join the program with Maddie. It'll be a really great opportunity to ask her questions about the book and about her experience as a journalist, like interviewing and researching all these really young activists and change makers. So you could read more about Maddie and her book, Young and Restless, on the event registration page, which is also in the Ambassador Hub. And then speaking about the hub, there are a ton of other in-person and virtual events going on this month that are in there. There's different book clubs going on, a bunch of different sustainable workshops that are in person and virtual. And you can check there for everything up to date. We update it like on a weekly basis. So the link is going to be in the chat. And then lastly, today is the last day to complete our end of year ambassador survey for 2023. No matter how long you've been a Remake ambassador, we would love to hear your feedback. All of the responses really help us develop programs and resources that you guys all want to see in 2024. The survey is anonymous, but you will also have the option to put your name and your email for a chance to win a Remake gift bundle. So you can also find the link that Emily just dropped in the chat to complete the ambassador survey, and it will end tonight. So there's only a few hours left to fill it out, to have your chance for the Remake gift bundle, and to give your feedback for our team. If you have any questions about the end of your survey, the Ambassador Hub, Slack, or just about the Ambassador program in general, you can reach out to ambassador@remake.world, and I could put that email in the Slack too, but we're happy to answer all of your questions. And thank you all for being here today. I'm going to hand it on over to Tessa to share some development updates with you all.
Thank you so much, Allison. Hello, everyone. I am just so honored to hear about all the impact that we've had so far in the last year and all the goals we're going to be accomplishing in 2024. You all blow me away as a community. So as always, very honored to be here. For anyone who I haven't met just yet, again, my name is Tessa. I am Remake's development manager. So I help with a lot of our fundraising efforts here at Remake. And I just wanted to say, as we're closing out this holiday season, we have one more gift to unwrap here, which is that we have reached our Give Your Values goal. So big applause for everyone in this community who's been involved in any capacity. So that means if you've supported directly, if you've hosted an event, we're going to get into all the details on how we made this happen as a community together. But you all blow me away, and I'm so, so grateful on behalf of our entire organization for reaching this goal together. We can jump to the next slide here just to give one more big thank you to our Remake Leadership Circle members who sponsored this incredible Give Your Values match. So again, for those who are new to the Remake community, our Give Your Values match happens at the end of each year during the holiday season from November to December, and it's a huge opportunity to power this movement in the coming year. So these sponsors have made a world of difference in our community, both just as Leadership Circle members, kind of galvanizing our community each year, but also choosing to be sponsors for this match. So thank you so much to Molly, Natasha, and Amber for making that possible and galvanizing our community. And then on to the next slide here, where we just want to thank all of you directly for all the ways that you made this possible. So As is the case for any Remake campaign that we run, it's very much a grassroots effort here. And so we had over 100 just direct donations straight to Remake, which is huge and shows the volume of support that we have throughout the season. And on top of that, there were 35 Remake ambassador and community organizer held events. So each of those brings in fundraising and donations directly from all of the attendees that you had throughout that season. We want to thank you all for working so hard to host those events and galvanize your communities. It means so much to know that you're not only just educating and empowering your local, communities, businesses, young change makers, but also that you're taking that opportunity to pour back into this Remake movement and keep it going for the next year ahead. We also had countless shares on social media with our Give Your Values campaign, folks sharing their own personal stories through email, text to their loved ones about what this work means to them. Every single step you took made a difference. So we see all these donations pouring in and all these notes sharing how much this work means to each of your community members. So please know all of those efforts do not go unnoticed or unappreciated. We appreciate every single step you've taken. And on top of that, we have a number of businesses that are small businesses, oftentimes ambassador owned, that just decided to pour back a little bit into the Remake community through their own work too. So we just wanted to thank all those small businesses. You'll see them listed here. It's Deals on Designers, one of our newer partners that we're working with to fundraise, as well as Most Wanted Luxury Resale. That's Emily McKay, our Canadian CO, who hosted a number of fundraisers and chose to give back some of her proceeds to Remake. We also had Daughter Judy, the Archive Project, and New Creative Works, among others. So we're so, so grateful to each of you for any way that you've chosen to engage in this movement. And beyond that, we just want to touch on what that impact will look like in 2024. So we know that collective actions and campaigns like this have the power to sustain our work long term. And in the ways you participated, you are enabling Remake to protect and amplify the voices of garment workers again this year through our work, as you heard from Alexa, Becca, and Aisha, like the Fabric Act, the International Accord, and all of the wage equity and recovery campaigns we'll be tackling this year together. We'll also be empowering our young change makers. That means our ambassadors, our community organizers, and everyone that they empower through their work to build safer and more just fashion industry with those two programs alone, as well as all of our educational programming and workshops. We're expanding into new hubs. We're building out university community organizer programming, and all of that wouldn't be possible without you all choosing to build this movement and build this momentum together. So to our Remake community, you all did this, you made this possible, and we're so, so grateful to you. You've helped amplify this match challenge, and it wouldn't be possible to reach these goals without all of your attention or efforts in any way accessible to you. So just to keep that impact going for anyone either who's new to this work or who wants to keep powering this moving forward, becoming a Remake gem, and that's someone who gives every month, is an incredible way to support the movement in the long term. So I'll drop the resource here just to get involved if you'd like to become a monthly donor. That's always a way to sustain this work long term. And just as a last little close here, again, thank you so much to all of you. This movement is more beautiful and more powerful with each of you contributing in any way you can. And we're so excited for a year of impact and a powerful community building each day with you all as a part of it. So thank you. I'm going to pass it back to Emily to close us out.
Thank you, Tessa, and thank you to the rest of our small but mighty team who shared what they're working on and how this incredible group of ambassadors can get involved in 2024, whether it's campaigning, whether it's policy work, whether it's the wage theft case that we are tackling here at the start of the year, whether it's community building, events, building connections, education. We have a lot to do, and we're going to do it together, which is very exciting. Like I said, you can continue the conversation with us over on the Remake Ambassador Slack. If you're not on the Slack yet, I'm dropping that information in the chat here. And we would love to have you over there to continue the conversation. I'm just going to go ahead and reiterate what Risha has dropped in the chat. It's a pleasure and privilege to be a part of this incredible community. I honestly couldn't have said it better myself. That's how I feel every day. Aisha, I'll turn it over to you for last words and send us out. Thank you all for being here.
Amazing. Well, Thank you, everyone. You know, it's funny when I think about most people by, I'd say, second week of January, energy starts to slide. Maybe you're not going to the gym as much. Your New Year resolutions seem more daunting. But the fact that there was 90 people at the start of this call, and I'm just looking at the energy of this chat and just know that this is what sustains us at Remake as a community and allows for the outsized impact that you all have seen. So I'm really excited for all that 2024 has in store for us. As Emily said, always and forever, you know, we will assure that your voices are heard, that you are feeling mighty in your power as change makers. So do take the survey, do engage with us in the hub, especially for a lot of our newer community members. Drop Allison a line if you aren't sure how to get to Slack or hub. There's so many ways that we keep this conversation going. But first and foremost, I'm really excited to roll up my sleeves and to get Nike to the table. You know, it's interesting that there are reputationally sensitive brands where behind the scenes they're willing to talk to us and address conditions. And it's been 3 years of trying to do that with Nike. They were a super winner when it comes to revenue last year. And so it's time for the CEO to really hear us loud and proud. So let's out the gate galvanize as we do best. And I will see you all on Slack, on the hub, and the February community call. But really, really happy New Year, everyone. I cannot thank you enough. And even though the goals in front of us seem daunting, I think who better than us as a community that has already, to Emily's point, small and mighty, assured millions flowing back to garment workers, safety of jobs, and making sure that we are always truly kind and gentle with one another. That's, I think, the final thing. You know, I look at a lot of the online world, and it seems every time you pick up the newspaper, the world feels really dark in many ways. But one of the things that keeps me going is really the light that all of you are as our community. So I'm so excited for us to meet these goals together. We'll see you same time, same place in February. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you.
Talk soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Talk soon.